I'm Tom Harwood, and today we're diving into a crucial issue that's set to impact home buyers across England. Yes, the looming stamp duty hike. This change was smuggled out in last week's budget, and if you listen to the Chancellor's statement in the Commons alone, you could be forgiven for missing it. But it's there in black and white in the Treasury Red Book, setting out in detail all the financial plans of the government. With just 6 months left before a significant change in property taxation, we're looking at what this means for first-time buyers, home movers, and the broader housing market. Let's look at that stamp duty deadline. On the facts, on the 31st of March 2025, the increase to the stamp duty thresholds will come to an end. This change was originally brought in by Liz Truss in her mini-budget. It was in fact one of those tax-cutting measures that her successor Rishi Sunak decided to keep. Now, the threshold change isn't just a minor adjustment. It's a tax rise that could see some Britons facing an additional bill of up to £11,250. That's right, £11,250. A sum that for many could be the difference between getting on the property ladder or not. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is changing? Well, let's break it down. Current stamp duty thresholds. Under the current rules, first-time buyers enjoy significant benefits. No tax on the first £425,000 of a property's value, and a reduced rate of 5% on the portion between £425,000 and £625,000. This means that if you're a first-time buyer purchasing a home worth £625,000, you're currently in a sweet spot for tax savings. The new reality. Well, come April the 1st, 2025, the landscape dramatically shifts. The tax-free threshold for first-time buyers drops to £300,000. The property value limit for stamp duty reduction falls to £500,000. So what are those implications? Well, a first-time buyer looking at that same £625,000 property will suddenly find themselves with an £11,250 increase in their stamp duty bill. That's an enormous change that could price many out of their dream homes. And all at a time when house prices are going up, not down. The country has seen significant inflation since the threshold rise in 2022, meaning that to be worth the same amount, the threshold would need to rise. And instead it's falling, and will feel far harsher for home buyers than it was before the tax cuts came into effect. It's the same effect causing stealth income tax rises, our old friend fiscal drag. But what's the impact on home movers? Of course, it's not just first-time buyers feeling the pinch. People moving homes, those looking to climb the property ladder, will also face increased costs. Currently, no stamp duty is paid on the first £250,000 of a property. Well, from April, only the first £125,000 will be stamp duty free. A new 2% rate will be introduced for the £125,000 to £250,000 band. This reintroduction of the 2% band means home movers could be looking at up to £2,500 more on their tax bill. It's a significant hit at a time when many families are already struggling with the cost of living crisis. But what for market disruption? Well, for housing markets, if history is any indicator, we're likely to see a significant surge in activity leading up to that March deadline. Laura Suter, Director of Personal Finance at AJ Bell, warns that a flurry of people looking to lock in their home purchase before the deadline. This rush to beat the tax hike could lead to increased competition for properties. It could lead to potential artificial inflation of house prices. It could lead to a boom in sales followed by a potential slump post-deadline. Of course, we've seen this pattern before. During the pandemic, when stamp duty breaks were introduced and then expired, there was a similar boom in house sales ahead of the deadline. So what's the bigger picture? Let's zoom out for a moment. This stamp duty change doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's part of a broader economic landscape that's putting pressure on homeowners and potential buyers alike. Interest rates remain high, affecting mortgage affordability, and the cost of living crisis continues to squeeze household budgets. In this context, the stamp duty hike feels like yet another obstacle in an already challenging journey to home ownership. So what of the political implications? It's worth noting that this change comes as part of Labour's wider fiscal policy. Chancellor Rachel Reeves has effectively thrown cold water on the market's fortunes with this impending tax increase. It raises questions about the government's approach to housing and whether enough is being done to support aspiring homeowners. So what can buyers do? For those looking to purchase a property, the clock is now ticking. Here are some key considerations. Number 1. Act quickly. If you're in a position to buy, moving before the March 2025 deadline could save you thousands of pounds. Number 2. Be prepared for competition. With many buyers likely to have the same idea, be ready for an even more competitive market. And of course, number 3, consider your long-term plans. Don't rush into a purchase just to beat the deadline if it doesn't align with your broader financial goals. Across all of this, be sure to seek professional advice. With such significant sums at stake, consulting with a financial advisor or mortgage specialist could of course be crucial. We're going to move on to the ripple effect now. The impact of this stamp duty change extends beyond individual buyers, of course. We're likely to see estate agents and solicitors facing an intense period of activity, with potential strain on the conveyancing process as buyers rush to complete. A possible slowdown in the market post-deadline is possible as well, as demand falls. Well, it's a change that could reshape the property landscape for months, if not years to come. So in conclusion, as we approach this critical juncture in the housing market, it's clear that the stamp duty hike will have far-reaching consequences. For first-time buyers, it represents a significant hurdle in an already challenging journey to home ownership. For home movers, it adds another financial consideration to an already complex decision. The coming months will of course be crucial. We'll likely see a frenzy of activity in the property market as buyers race against that clock. But what happens after the deadline passes? Will we see a cooling of the market? More volatile prices? Will other economic factors come into play? One thing's for certain, the landscape of property ownership in England is set for a shake-up. As we navigate these changes, it's more important than ever for potential buyers to stay informed, plan carefully, and consider their options thoroughly. I've been Tom Harwood for GB News. Of course, for more insight and analysis, make sure you're subscribed to the GB News YouTube channel, and even click that notification bell to never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to GB News.